Hi, I'm Steve Wolf.
I'm Kirk Holmes.
And I'm Becca Holmes.
And
we're both Goodly.
Haas, that's a good question. In fact, what I'd like to do is turn that over to Kirk to answer that question.
Well, and I'll actually turn that over to Becca.
That's right.
She came up with
I'll take credit for that. It was actually about a 9-month process to come up with the name for the company. And that involved reading dictionaries, playing with anagrams. Kirk and I are pretty nerdy. So we were, there you go. Looking at Star Trek and Star Wars references. And so I started playing with an anagram of to boldly go. And that turned into Bolt Goodly. And I actually had to look up Goodly to make sure that was a real word, which it is, means to do well. And there you go, it stuck. Obviously, boltgoodly.com was available, boltgoodly.org and everything. So, and we like to boldly go, so it worked out.
And on the flip side of that, to add it from a marketing perspective, to tell you the honest truth, I wasn't totally convinced on the name when I first heard it, but after thinking about it over a little period of time, the name was unique. There was nothing out there like it, and what I didn't want was to be, was to sound like just a regular digital marketing company where it's like kick a can down the street and S&P Digital Marketing Pros or something like that. It seems like the names all sound the same. So after a while, it really grew on me, and it was unique. There's nothing out there quite like it, and if we're a marketing company and we're doing something different, it stuck with us. So we grabbed it up and got behind it.
Bolt Goodly, as I have said, is an anagram for to boldly go, which I actually don't like giving that information away because I like to make people think about it, but there you go, you can have that as a freebie. But Bolt, of course the first thing that comes to mind is lightning bolt. For us, that was always a little too literal, I think, because I think there's a lot of lightning bolt logos, and a lot of people are using that because it's a powerful, reference of like Mother Nature, but it's also meaning to move quickly. So in this industry, you have to move quickly. Everything changes all the time, so for us that means moving. I know Steve likes that. He's always like, make it fast, make it look faster. So that's the bolt. And then again, the Goodly is to do well. So we want to do everything quickly and do it well, so it has cool meaning, just in the definition of the words, but then it also just sounds cool, like Bolt Goodly. Of course, no one ever gets it right, but I also like that too, because like, what is it again? So it makes them repeat it, and now people remember our name.
And it doesn't even have marketing in it, so wait, Bolt Goodly, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely raises a question, and one thing that I really liked about it too is that the play on the words, it's really cool from a marketing perspective, because if you are a geek, right, no pun intended, and you actually get that, right, then it works really well for you. You identify with our name. And if not, then it also sounds cool as well too. So if you know nothing about it, or you don't happen to be a hardcore Star Wars or Star Trek fan like myself, who didn't pick that up at first, then it works both ways too. So we really liked it. We really like the fact that it works in a lot of different ways.
Steve and I have known each other for way too long, over a decade now. We're involved in some marketing campaigns and some nonprofit philanthropic work. And then I met this gal, and she ended up becoming my wife. And yeah, so it's been interesting on that note, working together, playing together, living together. But we all get along so well, and all three of us have the same vision, values that we live by, not only professionally but personally. It just seemed like a logical fit.
Kirk and I, like Kirk said, we go back a long time, and Kirk and I, in one way or another, had been working in this industry, and we both respectively own, let's call it like our boutique marketing firms, where we had a couple of really good clients that kept us afloat. And we had been working, in more of a senior capacity for other companies doing some form of marketing, sales, or digital marketing. So I really wanted to go out on my own and build it bigger. And a lot of what you'll find out there is there's a lot of smaller companies that have a problem with scaling, because I think that anybody can handle like a client or two and do that really well on their own. I think that once you start getting 5, 10, 15 plus clients that are pretty sizable, you really need to figure out a way to scale the business. And I wanted to play a bigger game. So it made a lot of sense for me to get together with Kirk and really join forces and figure out how to build a solid foundation of a platform for a company, and something that could be a legacy for years to come.
So probably the biggest mistake that I see clients make is that they think that they will get instantaneous results without spending any money. I think that's a big mistake. I think a lot of clients don't necessarily have a good solid plan of where they want to be or where they want to go. They just know that they need marketing, but they don't really have any kind of measurable KPI or something that will actually indicate success. And I think another thing that I see a lot from a finance perspective is that they don't have solid numbers. They don't know what a cost of acquisition is or lifetime customer value. So it's really hard to identify from a marketing perspective, because we also do the business coaching and consulting also of, all right, well, how can I afford to actually get new business? Am I able to maintain that business? How much money can I actually spend on generating new business? Things of that sort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree, and I would kind of bring it back to, Kurt kind of covered it, but really it's business 101. So for me, the main, if I could say one problem that I see a lot of clients have is most of them, they're not ready for marketing, and they think they are. So, and it's because you have to lay the groundwork with, a really solid business plan, solid business operations to, like he said, ensure that you can take the additional business that a good marketing strategy might bring you. So a lot of times we find there's a lot more groundwork to be laid before we can even launch a full-blown marketing campaign.
Yeah, and I would say my take on this is it really comes down to managing the expectations of the client and having them really understand what we do as a business and what a marketing company should do as a business. So a lot of times what I've seen with clients is that they're expecting the marketing company to come in and fix a lot of other problems that are way beyond the scope of just marketing or even sales, right? And so this is really why we take that consultative approach with all the businesses that we work with. The bottom line is that if you're a business that's struggling because the marketing isn't producing enough inbound leads or sales, and what we're really good at doing and what we really help the clients, our clients in the business understand is that there's certain key performance indicators that go into the overall marketing campaign and building the sales pipeline correctly for their business that they're missing, right? So before we go in and talk about where they're screwing up, I think that coming back to the expectations are really important for the business, because if they don't have the right expectations from the get-go, then it's going to be really hard for us to do our jobs.
For me, I think it's our team and our culture. Becca has a really rock solid operations background from managing retail stores, has an MBA. I have a degree in finance, been coding since I was 8, and Steve has a rock solid sales background. And I think also we all have different perspectives. I'm very, very looking long term and very long term focused. Steve's very, what do we need to get done right now? And Becca's right in the middle. So it gives us various perspectives that I think help our clients become more successful.
I agree. No, it's good. We, wherever I have opportunity areas, one of them is strong in it, and wherever my strengths are, are their opportunity areas. So we have really good balance, and I think, when we started this, there were a good, 8 people that were gonna be jumping on board, and we came down to the 3 of us. Because, we played that culture game of what's the best fit, who has what I don't have, and how do we balance that and create this it just kind of work together like a puzzle. I feel like the 3 of us, we have all the pieces we need to run a business. So that's really strong, and I don't know, I think we're pals. That's a good strength.
Yeah.
We hang out. It's good.
Yeah, and one thing that I've learned in past partnerships and past businesses is that you can have a lot of the different puzzle pieces together where maybe you've got the financing and some money in the bank for the business, maybe you've got good experience in sales, or you've got good connections so that you can find new clients. Maybe you have something that's proprietary, like a process or something that you can put together that makes you stand out in a really crowded space. I think getting back to the strengths that we have is to put all that together and make that work with multiple people. To put that in a way to scale is very hard to do. And I know this because, from my past experiences in building businesses from the ground up, the real secret sauce is not so much in, how many sales you can generate or, how great the quality of marketing is. I think anybody can do that once or twice or maybe even get lucky. I think keeping the whole team together and building something to scale for the long term is one of our greatest strengths. And so I'm really grateful for that, to have found people to do that with.
First and foremost, I see an increase in artificial intelligence and machine learning. But that being said, I think you're also going to see a lot of new channels come into fruition. I mean, you look at MySpace. I mean, it was great, and then it died. Facebook, yeah. So I think you're going to see a lot more new channels entering the market, which makes it even more important to own your own customer base, own your own website, and then leverage those channels to actually get your messaging across, rather than building your entire business on a channel that may go out of business.
Yeah, and I look at it generationally. So, just think of the contrast between baby boomers and millennials. Millennials are the, biggest marginal group with the most purchasing power. They're going to be the next 30 years of utility for any kind of product or service that any company is going to create. So I really look at the trends and the days of, like, I don't know, people buying things from a phone call solicitation are just kind of over, or they're on their way out, in the way that, younger people, millennials, and just the next generation are buying products, engaging brands, services. The way that they interact with those brands is going to be different. And so we want to be, as a marketing company, we want to be on, the cutting edge of, like, those trends, and not even just with them, but like 1 or 2 steps ahead of them, so that we can anticipate.
And what I see for the industry, which is kind of where I came from, I worked in retail management for about 12 years, and, that was starting back in college. So I remember it was, hey, we're getting a website. So I worked for these companies before they were, before they really started to do e-commerce. And what I saw after that was, 10 years of traffic decreasing to the stores, because people are shopping online now, and I think we continue to see that trend, because stores are closing all over the place, but their websites are getting cooler, and the stuff is getting to your door faster. You know what I mean? Like, they're figuring out all the kinks from the past 10 years. So I think that's going to be a continuing trend, and just kind of change the way, like Steve said, it's not just about, like, the internet, it's about consumers and the way we interact. People are, from what I'm seeing, I live in Las Vegas, right? They're doing a lot less shopping, and they're doing a lot more eating out or whatever, because you still like to go to a restaurant and get that experience, but I can shop from home. So I just kind of see the culture of how we interact with the internet change. And I remember being a freshman in college and being first generation Facebook, man. You had to have a college email to even be on Facebook, and we're way far from that in only, about 10 years. So who knows what next platform is going to launch. And that's another thing that we pride ourselves on, is being early adopters. And if it's good, man, we jump on it,
And on the flip side, I think that what's really interesting is that if you look at how brands have interacted with their consumers over hundreds of years, the underlying concepts have remained constant and the same. The channel of how we interact has changed. And I see a lot of marketing firms and a lot of businesses do focus on the channel as opposed to the underlying message. And I think that, like Steve, with your background and educational background, I mean, that becomes an asset to us. Becca, with her theater background, asset to us. Me with the number crunching, an asset to Bolt Goodly.
Yeah, I mean, the immutable laws of marketing don't change. And that's something that's always been really interesting about running, digital marketing companies, taking these tried and true laws of marketing and really applying them on the new platforms that exist today, because that is the method, or that's the medium in which these people engage with brands, buy products and services, have different types of customer experiences with the different brands. And so I'm always looking at that. I'm always looking at the ways that, how do you take this applied knowledge of what we know to be true about marketing and sales and put them on the new platform, so that you can create a better experience for the client or the client's customer.
I have 2 blogs about that you can read on the website.
Yeah.
Steve?
Yeah, but I mean, so the 2 biggest reasons I would say is it's cost effective, right? If you try to hire a whole internal marketing team for your company, you're paying benefits, you're paying, time off. Like, there's so many additional added expenses to you, training, and then also just the level of expertise. You're gonna hire someone who, if they've already been working in the industry, you're gonna have to pay them top dollar, or if they haven't been, you're gonna have to take the time to train them up. Where this is what we do all day, every day. So this is where we live. Every day we're inside of websites, we're inside of Google, we're inside social media, we're inside these things, these platforms. We see what changes on a daily basis. We're rolling with the punches. So, I mean, what other reasons do you need, right? Save you money and expertise.
And going deeper into that, look, I mean, it doesn't matter what company, what business you're in. Even if you're literally watching this and you work, like, as the marketing director, working literally in marketing for your company, you can't help but have a myopic view of your business and the marketing for that business being in the business. And one thing that we do in the world in like which I live is getting that third party outside perspective on how your marketing department is performing marketing for your business is so worth any amount of like time, money, or effort that you would put into bringing on a third party to give you some consulting or outside advice and just that different perspective. It's that perspective alone that could really be the pivot or the change that your company needs. And sometimes it's really small and you just can't see it because you're so in the middle of it. So getting a team of people that live in this every day, that are absolute experts in the space, to give you that third party perspective where, I don't wake up in the morning and say like, oh, I got a new marketing idea that works. Like we take real empirical evidence combined with years of expertise in the space, working with a myriad of different clients in different industries and different verticals, so we can really give you that powerful third-party perspective that could be the change, the little pivot, or a big change, right? Like an overhaul of the marketing for your company that could take you to the next level.
You stole all my words. Myopic, outside perspective, and on top of that, I think that because of our myriad of backgrounds and different perspectives from a Bolt Goodly perspective, it allows a company to get a different perspective from a finance perspective, organizational behavior perspective, a culture perspective, and all those things actually tie into marketing. Marketing your company's culture can assist with getting more employees and more resumes. Understanding the finances behind a business can better identify technologies that could actually save money to the business, so that way that money can then be reinvested into marketing to actually grow and scale the business. And those kind of discussions are sometimes challenging for an internal marketing department or CMO. CMO not so much, but for an internal marketing department to actually have with finance or the key decision makers.
Marketing is a team effort. That's the best way to say it, because as much as we're experts in this space, we'll never be fully experts on any one client, because we're not in it like that. We don't live there, work there 40 hours, 60 hours, whatever, a week like the client does. So the partnership, and it really comes down to communication. I can chalk this up to anything in my life. Good communication makes everything smoother.
I think understanding your business, understanding your market are two key things that I think if you really understand your financials and you really understand the industry you're in and who your target market and target customer are, that relayed to a company like us will really allow us to actually do more and generate more results in a less period of time. So coming and understanding, just basically business 101 and understanding your business, lifetime customer value, cost of acquisition, target industries, target personas, how big those industries are, things that have worked in the past. The more information that a client can actually provide us as an organization, the better, because then we get to sift through it, and from that massive information, identify ideas and strategies and holes that we could plug, and then not only plug, but other opportunities that we can take advantage of.
Yeah, and I'd look at it this way, right? If your job as a company doesn't stop when you cut us a check and pay for the retainer. That's equivalent to like, you want to get in shape, so you buy a gym membership. You actually have to go to the gym and see the instructor and the trainer in order to see some results over a period of time. So when you cut us that check for us to get started, that's when the real work begins. That's when we start to dig into the company, and that's when we start to engage you as a client to, again, immerse ourselves in our business. In order for us to understand your client and what you're doing, we need to immerse ourselves in your business and try to get as much of a perspective as you have in whatever business that you're in, so that we can begin to put together a really good marketing strategy. So if you work closely with us as a team on it, you're just gonna have better results. And we'll always, of course, motivate our clients to work with us and get us information, give us as much insight, deep insights. I mean, think of us as somewhere like in between like your personal trainer and your attorney, right? We wanna know the good, the bad, the ugly, what's working, what's not working, things that you've done incorrectly in the past, prior marketing things that have worked out, that haven't worked out, to give us the most insight and information so that we can do our job.
Number one, I think, is not immersing themselves in the client. I've worked for a lot of firms, and they're focused on vanity metrics. How much more traffic did we get to the website? How many more likes do we get on Facebook? And as I always say, likes don't pay the bills. So why are you focusing on that? I think that a good marketing firm should be focused on one key metric for that business. Now, in some instances, that may be more Facebook likes, that may be more email subscribers, because they're not really selling a product or a service, they're providing information. But most clients that we have, their key performance indicator is revenue generated. Yep. And so if you're not focusing on revenue generated, then you're really not focusing on what the client needs. And if you're not focusing on what the client needs, then why have them as a client?
Yeah, I think a lot of marketing companies start out even the way that we did, and they're just like, well, we're going to do digital marketing, so they try to attack doing everything and try to attack doing it well, which is damn near impossible to do. So they're like, we're going to do Facebook ads, we're going to do SEM, we're going to do email marketing, we're going to do marketing automation, all the things that we do in-house. What they find out is it's really difficult to tie all those things together and do them all really well. So they pick the one that makes them the most money, be that we're going to focus on Facebook ads, or we're going to focus on doing just Google ad campaigns, or we're just going to do email, and they stay in that world, which, you know, I understand they're running a business, and if they make the most margin on that, then they can do that, and that's great for them as a marketing company, but it really limits their ability to really serve their clients. And so we had to make a hard decision as a company that we're going to literally do all of them, and we're going to do all of them not just well but great, you know, that we're going to really have some mastery when it comes to the way that we do it. And I don't see a lot of marketing companies out there really doing it. I see a lot of marketing companies that do one or two things like really well, and the rest is kind of just thrown in there. And that really, you know, in that situation, the client really suffers. Or, you know, from the client's perspective, you can't really have a one-stop shop where, like, these are my marketing people. You have to go to this marketing company to do Facebook ads, and you have to go to this marketing company to do email. Then you have to go to this marketing company to get some, like, really good insight and consulting on it. And so we really wanted to just shut off all that noise and just literally be able to do the whole thing totally customized for each client ourselves.
Well, and if you have companies that one's doing social, one's doing SEO, one's doing email, the right hand typically doesn't know what the left hand's doing.
Right.
And so you don't have clear and consistent messaging across all channels, because we live in an omni-channel world today, where literally somebody is going to do a Google search, and then they're going to come up with a couple of ideas of, well, I need to buy a car, and they'll narrow down the type of car that they want to, say, a truck. And then they might post on social media, say, hey, who likes the GMC Sierra? And then they're going to find that, oh, well, my friend Becca over here loves the GMC Sierra. And then they're going to do a Google search to see, all right, where can I buy a GMC Sierra? And then they're going to see and review all of the different auto dealerships that sell that car and see which one has the greatest reviews. They might sign up for Consumer Reports and send some emails to check those areas. But if you don't have clear and consistent messaging among all of those various channels, then you're giving your client the wrong messaging. So I think that it's really important to have clear and consistent messaging. The right hand needs to know what the left hand's doing. And I think the other big thing is, and Becca can touch on this, is clear and consistent communication between the client and the marketing firm.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and there's two things. That's you know, I mentioned that in this other question is, a lot of marketing firms, you know, collect their check and send a PDF report once a month, and they're not talking to their clients. And a lot of people who, you know, clients that come on with us are like, oh, my last marketing guy, I could never get in touch with him. I've been emailing him for 4 weeks for a simple website update. I'm like, okay, well, I have a 48-hour turnaround. Come on, let's go. You know, so the communication, they're not doing that well with their clients. And another thing that, you know, when we first started this, I did a lot of research on all the other local marketing companies to see what they're doing, and they're selling a package deal. You know, they're like, okay, for $1,000 you get these 10 bullet points, for $2,000 you get these 20 bullet points, but those bullet points don't serve, you know, you can't package deal marketing because it's unique for each client, for each vertical. So that's why we really start with consulting. You know, we come in and we say, well, you're a restaurant selling beautiful plates of food. You don't need LinkedIn. You need to focus on Instagram. Where on the other, you know, side, a law firm or an accounting firm really needs to be deep in LinkedIn and not so much on Instagram. So I can't just sell those clients a packaged social media deal. We have to come in and really, you know, kind of in a way do an a la carte, you know, method for every client. So, and that takes a lot of time and money, which is why I think a lot of marketing firms don't do that. So that's where, you know, that's one of our strengths, is that we really do care about the client, but at the end of the day, we're going to probably get better results because consistent messaging, and, you know, we're catering everything we do right directly for that client.
Yeah, I mean, one more point on this is with the trends. I think that the cookie cutter marketing packages that Becca talked about, that worked 5 years ago. That worked 5-7 years ago. It just doesn't work anymore. To sell those packages and to put out a cookie cutter product, like, package it up and sell it as like, here's a marketing package for your company. Those days are over, right? I mean, those don't fall in line with the trends. Just being up to date on like how Google's changing their SEO algorithm, how Instagram is changing their search algorithms, how Google Ads is changing their display network and how they're serving mobile phones first as opposed to desktops. Like, all of this moving target is continuing education that we have to do internally to make sure that we can deliver the freshest results and the most insightful ideas of where marketing is going as a trend today. And selling a cookie cutter product just doesn't cut it anymore. And I think a lot of the companies, again, have they said, this is what's worked for us in the past. We're just gonna keep doing it. And I think it's a big mistake that they make. What makes Bulk Goodly different is we take a consultative approach, and what that means is that the way that I explain our business is that we're like management consultants that have a deep technical background with a forte in marketing and specifically digital marketing. And what that means is that we're going to sit down with you and we're going to actually look at your business and all aspects of the business. And once we understand the business that you're in or the business that you think you're in, then we can begin to come up with some kind of a prognosis of what we think needs to be done from a marketing perspective. And that may not be digital marketing completely, right? I mean, that might be fixing or plugging some holes in the ship that exist before we can do a really effective job when it comes to the marketing that we're going to perform for your company.
I would add to that, I think our network is something that's very unique for Bulk Goodly because we each have a very strong and unique business network that allows us to provide ancillary services that are not our forte or not even something that we offer to our clients, like legal, insurance, printing, promotional products. So, one of the things that I was taught early on with entrepreneurship and starting businesses is to stack your board with people that aren't just going to give you money but have a good Rolodex. And I think that we have a really rock solid Rolodex, so that way if we identify a problem, then we can actually make a reference or a referral to somebody that can actually fix that. And so we're not just a marketing firm, we are also a business consulting firm, which you really don't see a lot of. And on top of that, because of that, we really, really do care about our clients to the extent where we want them to be successful, because the more successful they are, the longer term relationship we'll have. And I think the other thing is that we're not in it for a month. We're not in it for a year. This is our goal, is to actually become the Amazon of the marketing space. It won't be there overnight, but 25 years from now, we'll be a household name.
Another thing that makes Bulk Goodly different is, not only, yes, we're a marketing firm, but we're entrepreneurs, so everything we look at comes from an entrepreneur perspective too. So when we have a client who is also an entrepreneur, we're like, oh dude, we dealt with that 6 months ago. We can help you with that. Like, we have the perspective of, I'm building this from scratch. We started this with literally nothing and have built it from scratch all the way up, And I think another great thing about being entrepreneurs is, especially in a technical space, we're not afraid to change everything overnight if we have to. None of us are married to our process. We create a process, and if it stops working, cool, we're doing this instead, because you have to be able to move quickly in the business world in general, but especially in a technical world. And I think our entrepreneurial spirit and background really helps us with that. So that's gonna help us move faster than other people, kind of like we've said, that people are set in their ways. We're not set in our ways. I'm down, change is good.
Yeah, to touch on Becca's point, I mean, I like that. We understand that when there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, and I've been there before, that buzzword gets thrown around a lot, but what that really means to me is like, we're grinders, you know what I mean? We work hard. I understand and identify what it's like to take an idea and actually materialize that idea and turn that into something that's a product or a company, and to get it from like idea stage, like something that's actually working where there's employees, people getting paid, is probably one of the hardest things that any entrepreneur is ever going to have to do. And we've done it enough to know that it's like, from a marketing perspective, to get in there and grind and do it and take on the challenge that a company has, even if they've got some problems internally with the company. That's not something that we're scared of. I mean, we will jump in there with you, and like, when the bullets start flying, we'll make sure that we're there to, help protect you from them, but we're not just going to run and hide or say, hey, sorry, it didn't work out. We'll double down on it and make sure that we come out with a win for our clients.
And also, we're not afraid to say no. I think that's another big thing
Yeah.
that you see a lot of marketing companies or a lot of businesses will go in to close a $5,000 deal, knowing deep down inside that actually by doing that, taking that money from that client, we're actually doing them a disservice as opposed to a service.
Yeah,
And
that's
so, hey, you know what, why don't we do this instead? Because you need to prove out X, Y, and Z to get us the information, so that way we can actually generate a better margin or a better return on your investment.